Okay.
Just tell me when I'm good.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, Jessie. My name is also Jessie, and today I'm going to talk to you about African food and also the climate of Africa and some cultures there. So, Jessie, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of watermelons?
No.
You've never heard of watermelons?
No.
You love watermelon.
No, I don't. I don't eat them anymore.
What about coffee? Does your mom drink coffee?
Yeah.
A lot of it?
Yeah, I drink coffee.
I don't think you drink coffee.
He actually loves coffee.
I like the good coffee.
Or what about yams? Have you ever heard of a yam before?
No.
I'm not surprised. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. Have you ever been to Africa?
No.
So, not surprised, and don't worry, that's okay because I haven't been there either. But so the connection between the questions I was asking you is that watermelons, yams, and coffee all originated in Africa. And so then maybe you think, if I'm in America or the United States, but these foods are from Africa, how am I eating them here? And that's because foods move all over the world. When people go to new places, they take foods with them. Because think about it, what's your favorite food?
Pasta.
Pasta. So say if you go to a brand new place, say you went to China, do you want to take your pasta with you?
No.
No?
You
Good.
don't? Well, a lot of people might want to take their pasta with them, or whatever foods they really like. When someone comes to a brand new place, they might be a bit nervous about foods that they don't know what they taste like, or they don't know how to cook them, or they just have no idea about anything with the foods. And so that's the case with African foods coming to America. And so the main way that African foods came to the United States is during the times of slavery back in the early days of the United States, when people would capture slaves from Western Africa and bring them over here. And so maybe the slaves would be able to bring food sometimes, but often it was more the way of preparing food and their attitudes towards food and what they liked. So say, for example, sweet potatoes are very popular in the South. And that's because when Africans were brought over to the South, well, they originally ate yams, but yams aren't, at least the popular kinds aren't native to America. But sweet potatoes are, and so they started cooking and eating sweet potatoes a lot because they were pretty similar. And same thing with the food like cornbread. In Africa, they have a kind of doughy bread called fufu. But in America, they didn't necessarily have the means to make fufu, so they invented cornbread as a substitute. And so you can see African influence in a lot of American foods. Have you ever heard of gumbo? It's a thick, hot soup. It's very big in Louisiana, and gumbo is partially influenced by an African-American soup-making method from a country called Senegal. And there's also some other things that have influenced it too, like okra, a leafy green, or not leafy, but a green vegetable is here because it came from Africa. The kola nut, which I didn't know about until I did my research, came here from Africa, and that's actually a main ingredient in Coca-Cola, and that's actually where the cola part of the name comes from. So African foods have made a pretty big impact on the U.S. diet, and if they didn't come here, well, the diet would be a lot different. And if foods in general didn't move all over the world, a lot of countries' diets would be very, very different. And so, let me ask you this. When you think of Africa, like what it looks like, what do you think?
What does that map look like, Jessie?
Like, if you went to Africa, what do you think you would see?
What do you think that you would see in Africa? Think of the movie The Lion King. What do you think you see there?
Lion.
Lions?
Another thing that a lot of people might think is in Africa is deserts, which there is. There's the Sahara Desert in the north of Africa, which is the biggest desert in the world. But it's not the entire continent. So although foods can't be grown really in the northern parts of Africa because it's just too dry, too little rain, sand, you can't grow things in sand. But once you get to the more central and southern parts of Africa, the environment gets a lot more grassy, a lot more humid, and you can actually grow a lot of foods, like say yams or watermelon there. And there's even a little area in between the desert and the more tropical areas called the Sahel, which is where it gets more grassy. And so Even though you think that Africa might be one big giant desert, it's actually with some very different ecosystems. And if you go to the very southern parts, the very most southern parts of Africa, you can even see snow in the mountains.
Mhm.
Did you ever think that you could see snow in Africa?
No.
Well, you can. You have to travel very far down south, but you can see it. And so in a place like Africa, it is very diverse. We call America a melting pot, but Africa has tons of different kinds of people too. There's one particular country called Kenya, and it's in the east of Africa, and there's a tribe there called the Maasai. And in that tribe, they make these very ornate and fancy necklaces, and I made an example of it here that you can see. And it plays a pretty big role in their culture. They wear them in everyday life, so just like how women in the United States would wear a necklace just going about their business, the Maasai women also wear these necklaces just going about their daily business in tribe work. But they also use them for special occasions too. Like if a woman is getting married, she will get a special necklace that she will wear like during the wedding procedures to help, celebrate a special occasion. And so these necklaces symbolize a lot of things in their culture, depending on the colors that they have. If the necklace has red on it, that means bravery. Orange is for friendship. Yellow is growth. Green is nourishment. Blue is energy. White is health, and black is unity. So by changing the colors on a necklace or making necklaces with different colors, you can communicate a lot of different things. Now, of course, my necklace, it has a lot of black on it, so that would symbolize unity. And there's blue, so that's energy. And then a pinkish red, so like bravery, sort of. And so these necklaces have a lot of symbolic meaning to these people. And fortunately, although their necklaces are a little bit tough to make because, as you might see on this doll, they're very fancy. They're made of beads, which they can make from stones or dried grasses or shells. They're a bit tough to make, but you can also make one pretty easily just by cutting out the center of a paper plate. And so I also have some crayons here if you want to color it and make your own. And you can use whatever colors you want to symbolize whatever you'd like, or if you just want to color it as you please, anything's good. It's just these necklaces are really important to these Maasai people. And so with that, I hope you've learned a little bit about African foods and how foods travel all over the world as people travel, how they've influenced the United States, the climate of Africa, and some important qualities of African people. Thank you.